Welcome back to JForrest English Training. I'm Jennifer, and today I have a very fun lesson for you. You're going to learn advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar, improve your reading skills, and improve your pronunciation in a very fun way because we're going to read a news article together about the release of Disney's The Little Mermaid. This was my favorite Disney movie as a child, so I'm excited for this lesson. Let's get started. Let me read the headline. The Little Mermaid makes box office splash with 95.5 million opening. First, let's talk about this. Makes a splash. Makes a splash. Here it says box office splash to describe what type of splash it made, but this is a fun idiom that you can add to your speech, and the idiom is to make a splash. To make a splash. And this means to attract a lot of attention. So you might say, Sarah really made a splash at the conference. So maybe she gave a presentation and it was really engaging and interesting and informative, and a lot of people were talking to her about it. So she attracted a lot of attention. She made a splash. She made a splash. Now, do you know why they chose to use this specific idiom in the headline? Well, because it's also a joke because splash has to do with water, the literal definition of splash, and the Little Mermaid, of course, takes place in water because right now, imagine I'm in water and I'm doing this. I'm splashing, to splash. So if you're right here and I'm doing this with water, you would say, Jennifer, stop splashing me. Why are you splashing me? So that's the literal definition. But remember, idioms, they don't follow the literal definition. They just chose to use this idiom because of the water connection. So to splash, this is to move water, I guess. Boo, to move water in the direction of someone or something. So to move water. Kids love splashing in water, but hey, adults love it too. It's pretty fun. Let's continue on. The Little Mermaid makes box office splash with $95.5 million opening. Okay. The Little Mermaid made moviegoers want to be under the sea on Memorial Day weekend. This is not an idiom to be under the sea. They're using this as a little joke because one of the main songs from the movie is called Under the Sea. Remember, they sing a lot in Disney movies, and this is one of the songs, Under the Sea, if you remember it. Okay, let's take a look at this though. Moviegoer, made moviegoers. This is a noun, a moviegoer. And can you imagine who this would represent? A moviegoer. I'm a moviegoer. What does that mean? A moviegoer is someone who goes to the movies. A moviegoer, because remember, it's a noun. So you need the article. Here we have plural, so there's no article because moviegoers. A moviegoer, someone who goes to the movies. In North America, when we say go to the movies, it means I went to the movie theater. Movie theater. In North America, we commonly called the cinema a movie theater. So we just shorten it to movies. I went to the movies last weekend. It means I went to the movie theater to watch a movie. So a moviegoer is not someone who watches a movie at home. They have to go to the movie theater, the cinema. Are you a moviegoer? I am not a moviegoer. I haven't gone to the movies, the movie theater for 5 years, maybe. But of course, I watch movies at home. I'm just not a moviegoer. What about you? Share that in the comments. Disney's live-action remake of its 1989 animated classic easily outswam the competition. All right, this is another water joke. This is also not an expression. We use it in the literal context of to outswim someone means I swam faster than the person. So when you add out in front of an action verb, it means to do better than. So if I say I outran someone, it means I ran faster than another person who was running, usually in the sense of a competition. I'm racing against someone and I outran them. I ran faster than them. So this is not an idiom. It's in a very specific context of sports and competition. But again, they used it because of the water reference. But it means to perform better than. So easily performed better than is how you can think of it. Easily performed better than the competition. Now here, remake. If I add re in front of my verb, it means to do that verb again. So to remake it means to make it again. And this makes sense because The Little Mermaid was originally a cartoon, originally in 1989, but they just remade it. And this, the live action, originally, it was a cartoon, an animated cartoon, but now, of course, real people. Ariel and Ursula, they're real people. Obviously, Flounder the fish is not. The fish is still animated. So that's the live action remake. So with the verb remake, you might say, I had to remake the cake. So maybe you were making a cake, but at the same time you were watching one of my videos on YouTube and you forgot about your cake and it burned in the oven, so you had to remake it. I had to remake the cake. So you can use this in many different contexts. All right, bringing in $95.5 million. So notice, point, that's how I would vocalize this, 95.5 million, and then I vocalize the money sign as dollars, and it is plural. There's more than $1. $1 singular, $1 million. There's a plural on the dollars, but there is no plural on the million. I hear a lot of students say 2 millions. No, it's $2 million. The plural goes on the dollars. Bringing in $95.5 million on 4,320 screens in North America, according to Studio Estimates Sunday. So let's take a look at this. According to, and after you need a someone or something. So this a something could be according to the report. This would be a something according to the report. According to Jim, who wrote the report. So this would be, of course, a someone. So according to, don't forget this preposition to. According to the report, according to Jim. Before we go on, are you enjoying this lesson? Do you enjoy learning in this way, studying real context? If so, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers in a real context, just like this, on TV, YouTube, movies, and the news, so you can improve your listening skills and you can add all these common phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions, advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar to your speech, and you'll have me as your personal coach. So if you'd like to join, you can look in the description for more information. Now let's continue on. And Disney estimates the film starring Halle Bailey as the mermaid Ariel and Melissa McCarthy as her sea witch nemesis Ursula. Okay, let's pause here. nemesis. Listen to my pronunciation. Nemesis. Nemesis. A nemesis is your rival or your opponent. So someone, or sometimes even a something that you need to defeat. Something you need to defeat. This happens a lot in movies and books and TV. So think of any superhero. Let's take Batman. And who does Batman need to defeat? He needs to defeat Joker, right? The Joker. That is Batman's nemesis. It's his rival, his opponent. But you may have an opponent in a race or a competition. In that case, the word nemesis is too strong. When I hear nemesis, I think there's going to be a battle. There's going to be violence involved. And that's why I think more of movies and TV and superheroes. I don't really think of just being in a race or a competition where you have an opponent. So think of it in that sense as well. There's probably some sort of violence or extreme conflict involved. Nemesis. Her sea witch nemesis Ursula will reach $117.5 million. Don't forget that S, dollars, by the time the holiday is over. Okay, this was a very long sentence, but let's take the short form of the sentence. We have the film. And then this is additional information about the film. The film will reach this amount by the time the holiday is over. So this is a nice advanced sentence structure you can practice. You have the future simple, and then you have by the time, okay? So let's try that. Let's try by the time the week is over. What will happen? So it will rain by the time the week is over. So by the time the week is over, that's the last day of the week. And sometime between now and the end of the week, it will rain. So here, future simple, it will rain by the time, and then you can have any time. It doesn't necessarily have to be over. It could be by the time I go on vacation. So I will buy a new bathing suit by the time I go on vacation. By the time I go on vacation. So this is a nice sentence structure. You can try your own sentence in the comments. It ranks as the 5th biggest Memorial Day weekend opening ever. So rank is talking about the score, right? So if you're in first place, that's your rank. Second place, third place, fourth place. So this is 5th. It ranks as, it's its overall performance. Now, I've saved all the notes that I'm taking here in a free lesson PDF. You can look in the description for the link to download it. And you can also download this free speaking guide, How to Speak English Fluently and Confidently in 6 Easy Steps. You can download this absolutely free from my website. So the link is in the description as well. Let's continue. It displaces Fast X in the top spot. So they're talking about it, the movie The Little Mermaid, because of its overall rank, its performance, its score. It displaces. So first we had Fast X, but now The Little Mermaid is going to displace it. So it's going to take its spot. It displaces Fast X in the top spot. The 10th installment in the Fast and Furious franchise, starring Vin Diesel, has lagged behind more recent releases in the series. So when you lag behind, it means you're not performing as well as you could. So you're performing slower than expected or not as good as expected. So to perform less than expected. But we also use this in a physical distance. So remember, before we talked about running or swimming, and you can outswim or outrun the competition. Well, I might be running, and then I realize that my competitor, not my nemesis, because I'm not going to violently fight them, my competitor is lagging behind. I know they can run faster than they're currently running. Why is my competitor lagging behind? Why are they running slower than they can run? And maybe even in transportation, a train could be lagging behind. It's not moving as quickly as it can move. So there could be some mechanical issue, and that's why it's lagging behind. But in this case, they're talking about the performance, not physical movement. So the 10th film in Fast and Furious, are you watching that series? I am not. I'll stick to my Disney movies. Has lagged behind more recent releases in the series, bringing in $23 million domestically for a 2-week total of $108 million for Universal Pictures. Notice here, 2-week. There's no S on it, right? Because this is being used as an adjective. And adjectives don't have a plural form. So it's the difference between I went on a vacation. Now let's say I want to add an adjective. I could say I went on a 2-week vacation. This is an adjective. But if I want to just talk about the time reference for my vacation, the length of time, then I do add the S. I went on a vacation for 2 weeks. This is plural. This is an adjective, so it is not plural. This is a time reference, so it's plural. The performance of The Little Mermaid represents something of a bounce back for Disney's animated to live action remake. So remember, they remade The Little Mermaid. First it was animated, and now it's live action. So they went from animated to live action. Notice here, bounce back. Bounce back. When you bounce back, it's another way of saying recover. So this, because it's a noun, it would be recovery. It's a recovery. So we'll learn later on that they say that the live action remakes, they were doing poorly, but now they've bounced back. So they're recovering in terms of their performance is going from not very good to better. We use this in a medical context as well. So let's say you're sick, you're not feeling well, but the doctor wants to tell you it's not serious. You'll recover. The doctor could say, don't worry. Don't worry. It's just a cold. You'll bounce back. Bounce back quickly. You'll recover quickly. In this case, it's being used as a verb, but here they're using it as a noun. I'll bounce back. So in this case, it's recovery because that's the noun form, and the verb form is recover. You'll recover quickly. So they're talking about The Little Mermaid film. Because of its performance, it's considered a bounce back for their remakes and makes it likely they'll keep coming indefinitely. Poor reception and the pandemic had some recent reboots. In this case, reboot is just another word for remake, but remake is the more common one. We use reboot more in the sense of starting again. So to start an electronic device again. So that's not how they're using it in this context. They're using it to replace the word remake, to just talk about making it again. But that isn't how it's normally used. When you reboot a device, I will power down my computer or my phone, usually because it has some sort of bug or an issue, and then they'll say, oh, just try rebooting it. So turn it off and turn it back on again. So recent reboot, same as remake, either performing poorly or skipping theatrical release for Disney Plus, including Dumbo, Mulan, and Pinocchio. So Dumbo, Mulan, and Pinocchio, these are 3 other Disney movies that they remade into live action films, but they didn't do very well. And they didn't even go to the theaters. They only released them on Disney Plus, their streaming service. They didn't release them in the theaters, probably because they didn't think they were going to perform very well. So when you skip something, it means you miss it. You miss it. So you don't go to it or you don't do it. So to miss it, or missing theatrical release. You hear this a lot with events. So you might say, I think I'm going to skip the party tonight, which means I'm going to miss it. I'm not going to go, or I'm not going to do it. Or someone might say, you can't skip the meeting today. The CEO will be there, which means you can't not do it. You have to do it. You can't skip the meeting today. Let's continue. The opening puts it in the top tier of Disney's remakes. So top tier is one of the highest ranks, highest positions, top tier, with a similar performance to 2019's Aladdin, though it was well short of 2017's Beauty and the Beast, which opened to more than $170 million, and 2019's The Lion King, which brought in more than $190 million in its first weekend. Have you seen any of these remakes? I've seen all 3. I love Disney movies. I'm very excited to watch The Little Mermaid. Although I'm not a moviegoer, so I'll watch it at home. What about you? Oh, and that's the end of the article. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go to the beginning of the article and I'll read it from start to finish. And this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Let's do that now. The Little Mermaid makes box office splash with $95.5 million opening. The Little Mermaid made moviegoers want to be under the sea on Memorial Day weekend. Disney's live-action remake of its 1989 animated classic easily outswam the competition, bringing in $95.5 million on 4,320 screens in North America, according to studio estimates Sunday. And Disney estimates the film, starring Halle Bailey as the mermaid Ariel and Melissa McCarthy as her sea witch nemesis Ursula, will reach $117.5 million by the time the holiday is over. It ranks as the 5th biggest Memorial Day weekend opening ever. It displaces Fast X in the top spot, the 10th installment in the Fast and Furious franchise starring Vin Diesel has lagged behind more recent releases in the series, bringing in $23 million domestically for a 2-week total of $108 million for Universal Pictures. The performance of The Little Mermaid represents something of a bounce back for Disney's animated to live action remakes and makes it likely they will keep coming indefinitely. Poor reception and the pandemic had some recent reboots either performing poorly or skipping theatrical releases for Disney Plus, including Dumbo, Mulan, and Pinocchio. The opening puts it in the top tier of Disney's remakes with a similar performance to 2019's Aladdin, though it was well short of 2017's Beauty and the Beast, which opened to more than $170 million, and 2019's The Lion King, which brought in more than $190 million in its first weekend. If you enjoyed this lesson, make sure you subscribe because I post lessons like this every single week. And don't forget to get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can get it from my website right here. And why don't you get started with your next lesson right now?